Hola, and thank you so much for joining me on the Bridge the Gap Spanish channel. My name is Keisha Villas, and I am the founder and grammar teacher for Bridge the Gap Spanish. And I am so excited to take a pause from our regular weekly grammar lesson, and we are going to talk about what it's like to learn Spanish as an adult and how we can get there and the steps and some tips that we can use in order to achieve that goal. I'm going to share my screen, and a lot of us here as adults, we have desired to learn Spanish for a long time. It's been something that we've desired to do, whether it's for a professional reason or a family reason. Maybe your grandparents speak Spanish and you want to be able to communicate with them, or maybe it is um, just a goal, and that's totally okay too. Maybe you love Hispanic culture. That was me. I loved Latin American culture, and I wanted to be able to be a part of that in a way greater than just like knowing some things. I wanted to be able to actually speak the language. So no matter what your reasoning is, it's kind of challenging because as adults, we're wired to buckle down and think about work and family. And those are our primary things. And everything else we kind of just like let float into the universe and like know, okay, that I can't put any time, I can't put any effort into myself anymore. But that's simply not true. We are wired to think that skills that we hope to obtain when we were younger, we put those on the back burner and we say, well, I guess that boat has sailed. I guess that's not happening. And we forget about them, and we just assume that they won't happen. And this may be you, but more likely than not, it is you, because this is how most of my students are. They're adults. All of my students are adults, and they kind of get to this place where they're like, okay, I guess isn't this isn't happening. This isn't going to happen for me. And adult things kind of overcome our desires that we have for ourselves. How do we justify spending time on what may seem like an unattainable goal, like learning to actually speak Spanish? Because there's a different level. Obviously, there's the Duolingo level where we know these words, we know these phrases, great. But there's a level of actually being able to speak Spanish. And that's the piece that seems unattainable, being able to communicate and converse, maybe even translate. Those of sort of things can seem unattainable. And I want to talk you through some mindsets that can help you to get there to where you can justify spending time on this sort of thing. First of all, because it is attainable. Learning to speak Spanish only seems unattainable when we don't know how to get there. But isn't this the same for any goal? Any goal where we don't have a plan, it seems unattainable. We also have to realize that there's so much benefit in learning Spanish. Besides the fact that you communicate with a whole nother group of people, you can also increase your brain health, increase your brain capacity. Did you know it actually, learning a new language actually wards off different things like different diseases like Alzheimer's. It helps to build your brain health up. And you also get a skill that you could pass on to your kids, and then that they can pass on to their kids. Many of our kids are learning Spanish in school right now. And so being able to walk along with them in that journey is such a benefit as well. And being able to have the potential for certain professional opportunities. There's so many benefits there as well. We also have to realize that it is necessary. We have goals, dreams, and desires for a reason, right? And so, whether that goal is because you want to be able to speak with your patients, with your Hispanic patients, or maybe as a doctor or as a nurse, or maybe you're a teacher or a para and you want to be able to communicate with your Hispanic students and their families, or maybe again, maybe it's a family one. Maybe you want to be able to communicate with your parents. Maybe it's just a goal. Whatever it is, go for what you want. It's necessary to do that, to feel like we're fulfilling our passions, fulfilling our purposes. I want to, now that we've kind of talked about how we can justify it, I want to talk through 9 tips with you for beginning your Spanish journey, because oftentimes we get so discouraged in the very beginning. But if we set different things in place, we can feel encouraged and we can stick through it, and we can get to where we want to get. First of all, pace yourself. Know that this goal will take time. And instead of devoting 5 hours, saying, okay, I'm going to devote 5 hours a day, or instead of having this huge thing you're going to do, instead, be consistent and say something like, okay, an hour a week to study, or whatever that time frame looks like for you. Pace yourself and know that by spending a little time a week or whatever, that's going to make you more consistent, which leads us to our next point, to doing something small every day. Exposing yourself to Spanish on a consistent basis is so vital when learning to speak Spanish. Add something small to your daily routine. I have a student who, at one point, he was listening to news in Spanish every single day, and that helped him so much. Do something small that's going to expose you to Spanish, but also help you to pace yourself. Recruit a friend. So find a friend who also wants to learn to speak Spanish, and keep each other accountable. Or even if it's a friend that has another goal, just have a friend that's doing something similar and that you guys can keep each other accountable on. Flashcards and notes. There's so many different ways that we learn, and one is by writing, or it might be if you keep digital flashcards, typing as well. These things are going to help you to study. And again, this goes back to pacing yourself. So instead of learning, 50 words, having a list of 50 words to learn every week, instead, know that that's too big. That's too big of a goal. That's too big of a small step. So instead, do 5, 10, 15 words, whatever that looks like, that you can consistently maintain. Do that, because you're in it for the long haul. And so 5 words a week will build up to 100 words, right? And so take whatever little increment, take that and make flashcards for those words or for those verbs or whatever that looks like for you. Listen to a podcast. This is how we're going to hear Spanish consistently. And if it's not a podcast, do a TV series or an audiobook. Do something where you're listening to Spanish and you're absorbing it in that way as well. Tell others that you're learning Spanish. This is another form of accountability. By telling others, you subconsciously encourage yourself to actually do it and follow through. And we want to make sure that we follow through. That's the whole purpose of us going through these tips. We want things that are going to be put in place for us to be encouraged to actually reach this goal. The next thing that you can do is hire professional help. Spending the little extra money per month or per week or whatever, and there's so many options depending on what your budget is. So don't let budget inhibit you. Instead, find an option within your budget and hire professional help that's going to help you maintain this progress, and that's going to help guide you through this process. It's so much easier when you have someone that's been ahead and that's done it already, or that is a native speaker that can help you to get to where you're wanting to go. It's another form of accountability as well, because you're spending money and you want to make sure that that money is worth it, right? Commit to at least 3 months. The first month will be a stretch because you're stretching your brain in ways that you haven't in a very long time. And by committing to at least 3 months, you get past those growing pains and you get to the part where you actually begin to get the hang of it, get the knack of it, and start learning. Most people quit before they get to that point. I don't want you to do that. Let's not quit before we get to a point where we're actually feeling good about our learning and progressing. Never be afraid to ask for help or encouragement. And this goes back to telling people that you're learning to speak Spanish. By telling them and then being not afraid to reach out when you're feeling discouraged, that's what's going to keep you going as well. People who are rooting for you will gladly give you that encouragement and will help you through those hard parts. I want to remind you that you only have one life to live. So I want it to be said of me, at least, that I did the best of my ability to get to my goals, to reach my dreams. We only have a certain time on this earth. And so let's capitalize on that and let's use it to really be all that we want and desire to be. Thank you so much, and feel free to reach out to us. We, as Bridge the Gap Spanish, we help people through this journey, through this Spanish journey. That is our job, and we love it. And so reach out to us and let us know if you want to do a free discovery call with us to see what this path could look like for you. Please subscribe. We'd love to have you subscribe to our channel to get more free content, more free Spanish content, and more free Spanish resources. And also you can subscribe to our weekly newsletter to get that in your inbox at btgspanish.com/subscribe. And thank you so much for joining. And I look forward to hearing from you in the comments about what your tips are for learning Spanish as an adult. And we're all in this together. So let's keep each other encouraged and let's reach these goals together. Thank you so much. Hasta pronto.